All right, I'm gonna give everybody a minute to get logged in. I am so excited that you guys are joining us for this wonderful technology webinar that we have planned for you. And I am really happy that we've got Justin and John back with us. I couldn't believe that it had been over a year since you guys had been with us. I feel like time is flying. But the fact that
We
everybody's
did
getting
what we
together
could to stay
today.
away, but you caught us.
Well, when it comes to technology, you guys are my top two. You're who I call, and I know that you always know what's new, what's coming out. So I thought this was a great time to have you back so we can give everybody a great refresher on technology and all the things that will be able to help them. And we're going to be covering topics like AI. We're going to be covering Adobe Acrobat, Word, and many other things that are going to help everybody today. But we want you to definitely ask questions. We want this to be interactive. We want it to be helpful. So if you got a question about anything, be sure to put that in the chat box and we will keep an eye on it. And then later, you're going to meet my amazing partners over at Fox AE, On Point Legal Nurse Consulting, as well as HMR. And I know that we're going to have a lot that we're going to cover. So again, ask away. I will make sure that this gets recorded and put on our YouTube channel so you can refer back to it. And then if you need anything, just let us know. So I'm going to go ahead and first and get started by introducing Justin. And forgive me if I'm a little jittery right now because I can't get over the fact that ChatGPT, John just did an introduction for me. He typed in my name and the most amazing introduction came up and I was like, I couldn't get over it. So you guys have got to check that out. Um, I'm just blown away. But I'm going to go ahead and read Justin's introduction. What I love is I asked him to send me something. He says, okay, I'm going to put it in Chat GPT and we're going to see what it comes up with. So this is what it came up with, which I thought was very cool. And it came up instantly. It says Justin Kahn is a partner at the Kahn Law Firm in Charleston, South Carolina, with over 30 years of experience in complex litigation, including medical malpractice and class actions. He's board certified in medical malpractice and civil trial advocacy, and he's also recognized for his expertise in trial strategies as well as legal procedure. He's a prolific author. He has written extensively on the South Carolina rules of procedure as well as evidence. And he's also an adjunct professor at the Charleston School of Law, where he's taught courses on deposition strategies as well as trial techniques. And he's also a frequent speaker across the country at many different legal conferences, including ours. And we're so grateful to have him. But he shares a lot of his insights on leveraging technology as well as psychology to help improve advocacy and outcomes. And he has numerous accolades, including an AV rating from Martindale-Hubbell and a leadership and law award. And Justin is also a leader in advancing legal practice. So please join me in welcoming Justin Kahn as he
Well, thank
shares his expertise on technology today. And I'm blown away. I still can't get over that ChatGPT came up with that. But it's you, Justin. It describes you to a T.
you. A T. I wanted to, well, thank you, Ginger. And ChatGPT got it right for you as well. The For the people who are, oh, I see some questions. Sorry, I got to pop up the questions. I want to introduce John Lemuro, who is an outstanding trial lawyer. This is without ChatGPT. This is just Justin GPT. The John Lemuro is an outstanding trial lawyer from New Jersey who has written not only about medical malpractice, but he's also written a book by AJ called Dropping the Digital Anchor, which helps you understand better how to persuade and anchor in jurors' minds certain ideas. And we might touch on some of that today in terms of using ChatGPT to create some images, which we'll talk about probably later on too. But he's also board certified. You're currently the president of New Jersey Association of Justice, I believe.
President-elect in June.
Still not there?
15 years.
All right, sorry.
Long ladder. Yeah.
And what we're thinking about doing today was I learn a lot of tech from John, and we speak around the country to lawyers about technology because it's right before Thanksgiving. We thought we'd do a recording that's going to address some stuff to do with ChatGPT and using AI in your practice. Talk about some different ways to use that. Talk about Adobe Acrobat, Word, and I've got a couple of tools here available. The new VZ Ultra, IPvo, and I'm actually doing a partial recording with Claude, and we'll see how it translated to see how that works. And we'll try to answer questions as we move along. I'll try to answer them in the
It was
um,
funny in chat. Somebody actually put up that they were recording in Otter as well. So somebody
yeah,
else is.
I can't tell if that's an automatic thing that Zoom does or if it's somebody that's doing it. But
Own built in, so
well, we
it's on.
might want to talk about Otter for people who don't know what it is too. We'll add that to the list while you're talking about your AI stuff. So, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce John, who's going to start talking about AI.
Before we do that, we have a question from Bruce Berger to Justin. Are you a magician?
Why what?
Are you a magician?
Why or how?
Are you? That's just what I'm saying.
Oh,
Is Justin
yes.
a musician?
Like this and blah.
There you go.
I
All
always
right.
carry it in
So
my ball.
you can never leave home without that, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Unless my wife doesn't let me.
So this is I figured I'd start with a great AI generated exhibit, which is done by a colleague, which is of OpenAI. So we will get there. Before we start anything regarding AI and what it does, I have to give you pretty much everyone talks about the New York case where the couple lawyers decided to use it when it was in its infancy and trusted everything it said without verifying or reading the cases, like those that read the head notes and not the body of a case. Worse than that, it was a pure hallucination because what you'll find out later, AI is merely a combination of language to give you an answer or give you a response, more so than an answer, to the question in a way that you want to hear it. But what I find fascinating is they got in a lot of trouble, but the judge understood the benefits of AI. And the case itself was pretty awesome, meaning, hey, look, good lawyers use these things. They use Lexis, Westlaw, they use the sources, they use tech, they use like pivos, all the things Justin and I have been talking about for years. Those things are all great. There's nothing improper about it. However, how you use anything can be improper if you don't know what you're doing or you do something checking it, verifying it, or going over it. So as long as you follow the rules that we already know that are built into the ethics and built into our case law, you're not going to have any problem. The other flip side is it's coming whether you like it or not. So, the Chief Justice, when he was giving his speech on in 2023, said, "Look, technology's coming. We're going to do this, but judges are not going to become obsolete." I thought that was very interesting, the commentary, because I know that judges have embraced this almost more than lawyers in terms of assisting with giving summarizations of not cases, but making initial rulings and already since then. So they was talking about adapting after the first iteration of ChatGPT. Buenos Aires is literally just came out today. I was sent it is drafting rulings and giving that out through AI. And many of the different states are creating judiciary AI based on their case law. Just to show you, Snell, this is a famous one that came out as the first judge. The concurring utilized AI to come up with the answer that he was going to put in his opinion. I used AI because I didn't feel like reading the entirety of the case. So I went on Westlaw. I downloaded it to a PDF. So you got the opinion in a PDF. Put the PDF into ChatGPT, which we'll talk about a little bit, is in a large language model. And then I asked it, "Hey, tell me what the concurring opinion everybody's on news," and it
Hey,
gave
John,
me a
John,
tremendous breakdown.
your mic seems to be breaking up. So I don't. I'm watching your video. It doesn't seem to be. So I don't know if it's a loose connection with your mic or not. So I'm just.
Mhm. Uh, hopefully it isn't. If it
That's better
continues,
now.
flag me. So yeah, when you take, so I downloaded the opinion, I threw it into AI and said, "Give me a summary of the concurrence." It broke it down. It went through, and I said, "All right, well, I don't really want to read that either. Can you summarize that in one sentence?" And it broke down that better way to determine the ordinary meaning of a word than to use a large language model, which has read how words have been utilized for a century. And that would give you the true meaning more so than just picking up a random dictionary, which would be limited to the people that created that dictionary. So that training data that comes into AI was pretty cool. Then, of course, I asked if it was Jimmy Cochran, what he sentence. Um, and if the word fits, you must admit,
Hmm.
let the AI assist with the ordinary meanings we can't resist. So what I'm talking about, so that's ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a fantastic AI program that personally showed the public generative AI, because we've had pattern AI. If you've ever been buying something like or click something on Facebook or something, and it then knows and starts giving you ads, it's always learning. So generative AI is creating something new, not just patterning it after what you do. This is green when you get there, and it has different models. So I pay. So if you pay $20 a month, you get different options. So there's 4.0 is the new version of the general chat bot. 4.0 Canvas is when you work on a document. So you chat on the left, and it's like a Word document on the right that you are continuously editing with the assistance of AI. You can talk about it, rewrite paragraphs, rewrite entire preliminary closing, whatever you want. The O1 preview is new. That is people intelligence that does a chain of thought questioning and response, but it cannot utilize documents or audio. The minis are just what they want you to use because there's less power, smaller models. Remember, again, they all make mistakes. So I bring up chat, and it's grown because originally you only put in like 140 characters. Now it blows that away. It also searches the web, takes in Excel files, PDF files, Word documents, and you can talk to it, and it talks back. And it can hear what you're going through. What's called whisper technology, which is kind of like a large language model combined with audio that matches it to determine what you're saying. So how does that happen? This is the graph. It happens because the people that built these large platforms collected all the open source information, YouTube videos, really anything they can throw in. We have no idea what, which is why they're being sued, because they don't know if it's copyrighted material, but they create this data collection. From that, which is literally right now at 1.8 trillion parameters of information, over 175 billion last year. I can't even imagine 5, which is coming out in a few months. That is just going to be utilizing a lot of parameters, and it creates vectors in the computer's brain so it can understand the terms of a sentence. So if I said rat, it could be the animal, or somebody ratting out a co-defendant or ratting out somebody, or hail, I'm hailing a cab, or hail coming down from the sky as weather. That determines it by reading millions and millions of different publications. It's people to know what is right and what is wrong and what are the different items. It does that through a checklist thing. So here's the input, failures, yes, no, and they code it so it gets used to learning how language goes. It's then filtered based on your role you assign it, what you're looking for, and then
John,
you
you're
yeah.
we even had a comment for someone else. I don't know if it's just maybe your proximity to the mic, because I know normally you're spot on, so I don't know if it's a connection or what. With your mic, you're just sort of cutting in and out. So he's gonna drop out. So I appreciate the comment from Susan, because I was texting Ginger a second ago.
Yeah.
So there you go. That sounds now I can hear it. That sounds clearer. So maybe it's just something to do with the way the mic was connected. I don't know.
I moved the wire like you suggested, so hopefully that did it.
All right.
Who
No worries.
knows?
Oh, cool. That sounds a lot clearer.
All right, so you personalize it based upon how you want to hear it. If you want it to learn who you are and what information, and that is your user engagement. Every time you click a button, every time you act, you copy, you paste, any of those things, it learns, and those signals go back into the database so that it keeps learning from you. So you are a guinea pig, really. You're providing more information back into it to learn. The only way to stop that is to pay money. So like Microsoft has created its interaction through an Azure platform that utilizes that large language, but doesn't let your conversation go back into the cycle, not go back into the collection. And there's good and bad about that. If you want to go back to a conversation 30 days later or a year later, it's not going to be in that collection. It's not going to be reserved unless you had turned it off. If you pay and stop it,
not there. If you don't pay, it is there. That's your choice on how you go about it. Obviously, there are different levels. Find the one that's best for you. So I skip it because time has grown. Those failings were terrible because they hallucinated and the answer you couldn't trust. So they've tried to connect the generative AI LLM with a RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, to give you a more honest and complete answer. Obviously, there's still issues and quirks, but this is how it works. The user says, hey, summarize the document. You saw me do that with Snell's concurring opinion, Judge Snell's, and spit it out. The PDF is then, says, hey, ChatGPT, read this. But ChatGPT that doesn't want to read it and combine it with everything else it's ever known, that would give you hallucinations because it just makes up the answer based upon the billions of data points it gets. You want the billions of data points to create the language, but you want just the answer from the document. So now what RAG does is it extracts out the information from the PDF and creates a new database, brand new, and says only go there. So using the information from the new database, using the language to appreciate the words in that new database from the big LLM database, it gives you a better response that's more accurate and a chance to verify it, and which brings us to Adobe. So many people know Adobe, it's a PDF reader, and it's a great example of RAG in a simple one document setting. So here I loaded in an article that I needed for a case. In the upper right-hand corner, it has AI Assistant. When you click that button, it's going to summarize and do research and provide this new window on the side telling you an overview of the case or an overview of whatever you put in there, in this case, the article, gives you a couple questions, and then it gives you like that chat bot that you saw in ChatGPT where you can just put in your questions. Here, I'm going to put in a question, what are the compartments of the lower leg, and hope that it's inside the article. They give me an answer that's spot on. But what's the RAG interesting is it retrieves where it got the answer from by putting a live link. So these are hyperlinks in Adobe that will point you to the article and literally the point where it got the answer. So now, as opposed to having to read the whole article to verify the answer it got from AI, you can literally just click that button and verify the point. Now, this is really important if you're reading like 2,500 pages worth of documents or a book, textbook of information, an entire case file. If you can get the answer with a direct link back to it, it would be huge. Justin, I know you want to show a couple of the great things that Adobe does. So why don't we switch screens now?
All righty. Let me pull up my screen. It's funny because now you're using dark as well, dark background. So let me pull up my.
I love dark mode.
All right, so let's. For those of y'all who aren't familiar with Adobe Acrobat, I've got it up, and let's walk through some of it. This is the paid version, not the free version. And so one of the things, if you are new to this or have not played around with it, one of the newer tools allows you to, if you're not familiar with it, you're saying to yourself, how do I even get around this particular app? What this particular document or what this application does is, if you think of it as an electronic notebook, where when the old notebooks, you open them up, it's like a 3-ring binder. This program allows you to open up a document, you close it, and then you can treat it like a notebook. You can move pages around, you can search the pages, you can tab them, you can comment on them, and so on. So if at any point let's say you want to not only read a particular document, but you want to make comments in it, like a highlighter. You say to yourself, I don't know where these various tools are, if all the stuff is hidden. If you just use plain English and say, hey, I want to find the highlighter tool, it will show you where, first right now it's doing a search for that. I'm sorry, I'm doing the find text or tools. So let's look for the highlighter tool. And it will show, actually what it's doing right now is it's finding the words that appear in there. So I'm looking, I know I've got the tool over here, so I don't know why it's doing that, but anyway. So here's this highlighter tool, and you can actually go through the document itself, and I'll zoom in so you can see it. And you start highlighting particular parts of the document for your own reference, just like a regular highlighter. one of the things that y'all may have noticed is when you highlight, it's actually captured the text into a comment. If you think about that as like an electronic sticky note, you now have the ability to find your comments in the future. So if you go over here on the side, let me turn on my annotate this button thing so y'all can see where I am. So over here on the side, there's this tool, which is the comment tool. So every time you do a comment, it automatically makes a list of the various comments that you're doing. So let's just say I want to highlight this. So now it drops this in. So now you can jump back and forth between your comments. If you've got a different, I'm just jumping to a particular page here and make a comment like this. So now you can jump between the comments on the different pages. To me, this is a very helpful tool because let's say you insert a comment about something. I've got it so it's capturing the text that is being highlighted, but you can also make a note to yourself about what this means. So for example, if you're reviewing a particular document for a med mal case or a car wreck case or something, you can write down the word liability. And so you can then have that word for yourself. You can even do a hashtag that makes you feel better. And now you have the word liability there. And so as you go through this document in the future, you can look for all the different places in the document where that word may appear. One of the, let's say you've created this comment and you want to go back and look at it. If you do on the Mac, it's Command F, and I think on the PC, it's Windows F or something. I can remember. Control F.
Control. Yep.
Control F, right. So let's say I'm going to type in the word liability. You notice it doesn't find the word. I did a Command F, which is find, and I'm having it search this document for that word. Adobe Acrobat by default can search the PDF itself for words. So let's say here's a particular word, short. So if I do Command F, short, S-H-O-R-T, it will show us that the word short appears 8 times. So if I click on that, it immediately finds this word right here. And you click on the next one and it finds the next one and so on. So it sequentially is finding the word you're looking for in this article. Meanwhile, you know you have added a comment to the document that you want to find, and that was that word liability, but it is not finding it. It's finding part of it, reliability, but it's not finding the word liability. When we know it's there, if you go to the comments, it's sitting right here. What happens is in Adobe Acrobat, under the preferences, you need to, John, is the preferences window showing up within this or not? I'm going to have to share the whole screen, I think. The preferences window is not showing up, is it?
It's showing. It's showing. We got it.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, cool. All right. So in Adobe Acrobat under preferences, there are a couple things that you do. First of all, right here where it says copy selected text and a highlight, by default that is off. I always check that on so that when I highlight something from a document that is OCR'd, it automatically drops what I've highlighted into the comment. So for example, if you're reading through a deposition, the part you highlight will be automatically captured into a comment over here. Now, so I would suggest enabling the text selection for highlight and copy selected text into highlight. Now, the next problem that you have is when you go to do the search, you go under File. Adobe Acrobat has 2 different search functions. One is search and one is find. The Command F is find. The search is Shift Command F on the Mac and Control Shift F on the PC. So what happens is you have to do your search on the search side, not the find side. So you do Shift Command F, and now we're going to type in the word liability, which is we know appears right here. By default, Adobe Acrobat has off including bookmarks and comments. So if you do a search, it's not going to find it. So you want to, when you do the Shift Command F and you do this search, you want to include the bookmarks and the comments. Now it will find it, and if you click on it, it takes you immediately to that. Now, another thing that's important about Adobe Acrobat in my mind is this search function. When you do the Shift Command F, oh, by the way, for those of you who may be in a larger office, you can actually have it search not only in the current document that you're in, but all documents on your disk, or you can even go on to a network. So to the extent you have permissions to be on a network drive, you can then search the network drive. So when you're doing the Shift Command F, which is the search function, not the Command F, which is the find function, it shows you a lot more information. Another thing that it does is I refer, it's almost like a Google search. So if I type in the word benefit, it now will show you that word in this document, but with surrounding text, so you can have a better idea of what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a particular language in a deposition, if you did the Command F, which is find, you'd have to keep hitting sequentially the right arrow to find that word in the context of the PDF, which becomes a pain. So if you're trying to find something very quickly on the fly in the middle of a trial, whatever it is, then it's helpful to use the Shift Command F to find these things. And that, again, that new search to find words that you're adding in either the comments or a bookmark, make sure you include it in bookmarks or comments. The other thing that I think, we'll show you an example of this in real time because it doesn't always work. What John was showing you was how you can use this AI assistant. And by the way, this is in the paid version of Adobe Acrobat, not the free one. So if you click, once you have the document open, you click on AI assistant, and it's going to start processing the document over here, which it may or may not do, depending on the size. Right now, because it's still sort of semi in beta stage, there's a page limitation of, I can't remember if it's 100 or 300 pages. There's some page limitation. But what you can see in real time, this is a 19-page PDF. It immediately provided me with an overview of this. And again, I was doing this in real time. And then you can now ask it questions almost like ChatGPT, and we'll compare it to dropping this document into ChatGPT and asking it questions. So you can ask it a question like, what is the best way to present to students, for example? And it's analyzing this document using its own AOI algorithm, and it's going to try to come up with an answer to this question. And so, like John was telling you, it generates an answer, and then it's got these hyperlinks. So it not only generates a response, but it points you to, or if you click on like this one, it takes you to the area of the document where it finds that information. So I just wanted to show you something that John was doing by his slides in real time to see the potential power of it. The other thing you can do is, and I'm not going to do it the second, but you can click on add files, because you can attach multiple files and then have it read through them all and then analyze it. But I think ChatGPT does that better right now. But I just wanted to show you that this feature is built into Adobe Acrobat, and show you a couple other features to make sure you have set up in your preferences to make sure when you are highlighting text within Acrobat, it's automatically capturing it in your comments, which I think is helpful. And also how you can use the comments as an area to save keywords that are important to you for your particular case. And again, you can use it in a deposition article, whatever it may be, and then how to find it using that Shift Command F, and make sure you've clicked on the include bookmarks and comments. Was that enough, John, or did you want me to do more stuff?
Yeah, that's cool. Let's
Okay.
jump back.
Yeah, yes, sir. And I'm trying to see if there was any questions. Okay, so I guess it's okay. No questions. That's good.
So you had mentioned pictures, so I jumped to that. So OpenAI, which is DALL-E, has created the ability to type in words and ask for it to recreate things. So when I first did a seminar in December 22 on AI, I asked it to give me a prompt to put into the separate platform, because now DALL-E is built into OpenAI as opposed to two separate programs. And it gave me a cool prompt. When I put the prompt in to DALL-E, which is the photo, it built this. You can see how terrible it is, but it was trying to create an image off of the words. You take that exact same prompt today and put it in, and it creates this. So the fact that the growth of AI's intelligence, not just in word understanding, but in image recognition, I mean, that's a tremendous growth in a mere 2 years, under 2 years. And that's really also based upon the prompting. So we become better prompters, and I have as well. If the prompt makes the product, what you put in is what you're going to get out. Good in, good out, bad in, bad out. So example, I just threw in, can you give me a demonstrative aid that demonstrates a herniated disc in the spine of a patient that needs to be removed for fusion. I talked like a lawyer. I didn't give it a lot of context. That's all I said, and I got this image of murder. So it's not good. It's a very impressive image, but it's completely incorrect and wrong. To flip that, I spent a good 45 minutes to an hour giving prompts explaining that the drawing my daughter made on the left was for a children's book she had to present to kindergartners that she was creating. And she wanted it to be a certain type of image. And once I gave it the example, I uploaded the drawing, I prompted, I walked through all the things and worked with it. It gave me an unbelievable version of the drawing that my daughter had scribbled. And that tells you how this is going to become useful in demonstrative aids, how it's going to grow into just a sheer fact of technology and presenting. But it's not there yet. It's not perfect yet. You need to spend the time working with it because it doesn't understand everything perfectly. But it does show you it's pretty darn good once you work the prompts through. So that is DALL-E. DALL-E is built into ChatGPT. It is simple. To show you how simple it is, and you can do it short, is I took my logo, I threw it in, I say, hey, upload it, modernize this logo. Literally very small, but I gave it an example. So I got a prompt, I've got an image, and it made an awesome new background for my computer. Oh, those opportunities are what are there. And it's not just pictures. Now it's got a web search. This is very powerful. It's like sending out the ChatGPT into the World Wide Web. So I gave a seminar last week and I said, hey, I'm speaking at Litigation at Sunrise. What is that? Yeah. It then looks it up, tells me what it is, when the seminar is, some information about it, plus a live link that takes me to the website. So now you're getting an actual answer when you do a search instead of when you get a million ads and all these other things coming up. It's giving you a quicker response of the web. But remember, the web is not always right. And there's a million things that get put there, just like going into an LLM and asking it, is it right? So we also showed how you can upload a document in Adobe and how you can upload a document here. This is one where I put in, I'm using what's called ChatGPT 4.0 Canvas. So I put in a brief and I said, hey, read this draft brief that I wrote and revise it to be more persuasive. And you're in New Jersey. It will then create a chat on the left, like you were looking at before. I revised it. And on the right, an actual document that you could edit, type in, asking questions about, and work off of it and export it back to Word. You can, and it goes, hey, fix the preliminary, change paragraph 2. Can you make this more persuasive? Can you utilize some of the facts that I gave you in this other document, and build and go as far down the rabbit hole as you wish regarding statutory. Can you check all the sites? Can you give me verification links to information? That is a pretty neat addition that just came out in there. And then you've got GPTs, create your own GPT. So you don't just have to have a chat bot. So I created a judge bot. So to create the judge bot, I found a particular judge in a particular county that I practice in, and I uploaded all of her opinions.
Let's explain to people basically what's going on is John is having ChatGPT create, I'll call it for lack of a better word, a character that has certain characteristics that he's going to define. That's what he's referring to as a judge bot. He's going to tell ChatGPT, hey, I want you to be a judge, and I'm going to give you all these characteristics. And as that thing that I've just created, you are now to view the world through that lens that I've created. So I just want to sort of set up the...
It's actually a perfect explanation, and it gets better than that because you give it that characterization. This is who you are, but then this is what I want you to do. So once you create this, you don't have to recreate it every single time you want to have an interaction. You've done it once and can utilize it forever and just keep updating it as you like. So if you get a new opinion from that judge, you could throw it into your bot that you created. So here I wanted to practice oral argument. I said, as a conservative judge, doesn't like plaintiffs, wants cases to move, took all these things. I want the judge to challenge me. And this is kind of what it looks like. Hey, I'm the judge, proceed with your argument. Now you can upload the briefs in here. You can give it everything you want and say, all right, let's do this. And every answer I give, incorporate it into another question. That's a pretty cool thing. And then I love, the best part about it is at the end, I go, stop the simulation and tell me what I could have done better. What could I have done to persuade this particularized judge at argument? What could I enhance my argument? So you start to have a conversation, not back and forth with the judge, but now you switch from the judge role to the ChatGPT role and the analysis of what we're doing. But that's where we talk about the prompting. That took a long time to prompt the judge. And there are a million other people that have gone out and created bots, so you don't have to. There's a search engine, find somebody that does it. I have a legal writing bot also. You can start to get used to prompts with simple ones. Write it persuasively, write it clear. My recommendation is don't do these. Be more specific. Write the following clear, professional, and persuasive style and provide an example. Summarize it in this fashion. Explain it to a high school kid, in different steps. And then you get better. If the doctor testifies the mother delivering a baby in the critical moments recorded the fetal monitoring tracings, therefore claims that the monitoring should have been done by the nurse and not by the doctor, what questions would you recommend to challenge his excuse for not acting? The more the prompt, specific, clear, context, and direction, the better you get things back. So here's a nice long one. Draft an opposition brief to a motion for summary judgment in a PI case in New Jersey in Superior Court. Defendant says this, plaintiff says that. Here's the relevant case law. Here's the relevant cases. These support my argument, and then use expert testimony, say it's a net opinion with the court, whatever. Provide, yeah.
It just occurred to you when you say, here's the relevant case law. It's not clear to those who may not have used it how it would get what the relevant case law is. So could you explain that maybe?
Sure. So there's two ways. You can trust that it knows the case law, which it says it's up to date till October 2023, but I wouldn't trust it. But if you upload each case individually, it's significantly better for ChatGPT because it makes that separate database using only the documents you've uploaded. So here I actually said relevant case law such as Townsend Repair Pomerantz versus New Community Corp. I picked the cases that are important. When you give it that specification, it does a significantly better job with less hallucinations than if you just say all the law ever in New Jersey. So you can either upload it, you can direct it to do its own search. I find providing the relevant cases one by one is much better based upon the interactions with the ChatGPT. And each platform, by the way, is different. So like there's Alexis AI, there's Anytime AI, there's a bunch of legal, Alexis has one, each one of them has a different style of legal research. Right now, I'd stay away from legal research on it and focus in on writing and analysis on a smaller subject matter. So here's one. Prepare a set of initial depth questions for a plaintiff attorney to ask a defendant surgeon in a case where the plaintiff's estate claims the doctor committed malpractice because of a particular leaky anastomotic leak.
All right, let's come back to that after our break. How's that?
It's a break time.
All right, because I just thought we'd go into that and playing with those. I think uploading some documents and showing people how to actually use it.
You want to do that? We could break for that.
Well, I think Ginger just gave us
all right, so then I will stop sharing and Ginger's in.
Yeah, this is fantastic, guys. I'm learning so much already, and I'm already like, I can't wait to like download some of this and try it. Although I will say, I will probably be reaching out to you if I have questions.
Just ask ChatGPT.
Exactly. So we're going to take a very quick break because I wanted to bring in Taylor with HMR. Ted is traveling this week, so he won't be here to do the coffee giveaway. However, Taylor will be able to announce it towards the end of the webinar for us. But Taylor, we're excited to have you guys with us. You know, we love working with your company, and you guys are working in almost every single state in the country. We are very proud of everything that you guys do, and it's always an honor to work with you.
You bet, Ginger. It's always nice to see familiar faces on these webinars. It has been a while. It's nice to be home for the holidays this year. But again, thanks for the great introduction. My name is Taylor Luce with HMR. I'm the Southeastern Regional Manager covering about 7 states. Our company as a whole operates in all 50 states. And I know a lot of you guys know at the core of what we do is the medical funding side, from your most basic single study MRI to your most catastrophic TBI. We're funding it, catastrophic spinal cord, neck injuries, surgeries, we're funding all of that. But the crux of what we have gotten into is, the medical funding is great, and we want to be a partner with you guys from the beginning of this case all the way to the end. And a lot of these folks have lost the capacity to provide for their families. If they're out of work for, 2-3 years due to their injuries, they can't provide for their family. They can't meet basic needs, groceries, car payments, rent, you name it. We can fund that through our pre-settlement advance program. And then, to kind of bundle everything up for you guys and make it nice and neat at the end, if we're doing the medical funding side and then obviously offering these folks cash advances, whether it's every week, every month, every year, you name it, we want to be able to fund, your case cost and litigation expenses as well. It's less of a strain off your line of credit. We're funding life care plans, demonstrative aids, as we're talking about today, to get some of these doctors or providers to come testify live at trial, that can get very costly. And we prefer to, fund the case from beginning to end, let you guys litigate, and let us handle the money side and truly help change the trajectory of your case and help prove your damage model.
And you guys do a great job at that, Taylor. Thank you so much for popping in today to say hello to everybody. And I encourage you, if you're watching, Taylor's going to put his information in the chat box. Please save it and call him if you have any questions. And more than likely, if there's something that Taylor doesn't know, he will be able to find out for you. He knows a lot of people across the country. So if you have a case in a certain state, you're looking for maybe even a certain expert, he can also help you out with that. But I highly encourage you guys to reach out to him. And again, Taylor, we love working with you guys. So thank you for all that you do.
Yep. Thank you as always, Ginger. Hope you guys have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving.
You too, Taylor. Thank you. And now I see that our dear friend Patrick has also joined us with On Point Legal Nurse Consulting. This is another great company that we are so blessed to work with. And Patrick has been a nurse for over 20 years now. I tell you what, time is flying, isn't it, Patrick?
It is. Yes.
But we are so grateful to have you because, as John Romano says, not only does he love your pain and suffering reports, but he always talks about the very important aspects of why having somebody like you go in and speak with the clients and the patients to share their story. You guys can do it so much differently than sometimes the trial lawyer because they feel so much more open to speak with you. So it's pretty awesome to have you guys here with us. And I would love for you to share some of the great things you guys do over there.
Sure. No, thank you very much, Ginger. And Justin, John, nice to see you. Yes, I've been a nurse for 20 years. I started in cardiac ICU at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And you're right. Sometimes nurses tend to get a lot of information, sometimes too much information from the clients, but all of that information is reviewed back, and then we pass it on to the attorneys that we're helping with reviewing the cases. So some of the things that we do over here at On Point, I use Adobe every single day for reviewing all of my records and putting my expert reports together. So it's a fantastic tool. It speeds up a lot. Some attorneys will ask if we can share the comments back and forth so they get a live feed of kind of what we're doing or what the expert is looking at. One thing I always, in depositions, they ask for all of my notes. There is a note summary section in Adobe, which is fantastic because it will point directly over to pages and things that we're highlighting and stuff like that. So it's a great tool. We use it all the time. But some of the other things that we do, we can help you do the hyperlinks, the bookmarking, and organize those records for you guys. Medical records, we tend to get a lot of repeat or duplicates. So we use a system that will flush out those duplicates. So your 15,000 pages turn into 5,000 pages because there's, about 2,000 pages of vital signs that are the same thing over and over and over again. We do the life care plans, as Ginger talked about, and then the world famous pain and suffering reports, which are non-economic damages reports. It's a way for the client to speak with nurses to get just a different perspective of the injury or what happened, how it's affecting their daily life, how it's affected their home life, their work life. Everything past that injury is just a little bit different type of report. We have a wonderful database of nursing experts like myself. We also have a big database of medical experts and technical experts to help with any of your cases. As John always says, everyone should have nurses on their cases. We're really here to just a quick question. If it's something that needs a quick explanation, that's what our staff is there for. Send us over an email or a text and we can help out.
That is wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Patrick. And
Have a
happy
good-
Thanksgiving to you and your entire family. And I look forward to seeing you when we get back from all the holidays.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Patrick.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Justin and John, back to you guys.
Thanks. Perfect. So, one of the ways I like to think of ChatGPT is that it can give you, or any of the AI programs, it can be like an associate. Or if you are an associate, it's a great opportunity to be able to ask questions of somebody without being judged. You don't have to worry about asking a dumb question to a machine like you may be if you walk to your partner or so and so. So here I asked, give me some depth questions, and it would create an outline for you to use, which was pretty good. First, obviously, credentials, give some questions for it. It walks into a little further familiarity with the patient, gave a bunch of questions, surgical details, and then it did recognizing the leak. Now, like, again, don't just give up when you get an answer. Don't just stop. It's an opportunity for a conversation. So I follow up and I go, hey, give me additional questions just on regarding the leak. Work with it and expand your question and prompting, because the feedback, it's called the basic feedback loop, user input, user feedback, it continues to get stronger and better, even in the individualized chat that you're using. You've seen, actually, Justin talked about it and I talked about it, assigning a role. This makes the computer skip all those vectors, determining if rat is this or rat is that, by you honing in on the type of character you want it to be. Do you want it to be a judge? Do you want it to be a brief writer? So here, I got a demotion. Here it is. You, computer, are an experienced brief writer and a plaintiff's attorney. Read this and draft the brief. That's assigning a role. It's very powerful. Another prompting technique is called chain of thought prompting. That's where you get the computer to slow down and think. I mean, you can see how fast it is. Here's the answer. Here it is. But you don't want that all the time, because it's doing it in a way that is just giving you what you want. You want it to actually analyze. So chain of thought is taking steps. So I spoke at the Judicial College out in Utah, and I gave this example. First, I gave a scenario to the computer about a petition for termination of parental rights, which is something I don't do. And I wanted to just give an example based upon a conversation I had with a particular judge. Once I got the scenario, I said, all right, computer, take on the role of a judge in Utah that specializes in termination of parental rights. How do you analyze a case involving X, Y, and Z? And I gave the facts. I then said, step one, review Utah's legal standard, make sure I got it right. This is my understanding of what the law is, determine the statutory grounds, check that. Once you've got the law, step two, apply the facts that we have here to the grounds for termination based upon what you've learned, whether there's this, whether there's that. Consider different things, the failure of the mother to maintain sobriety, the time spent in care, giving those things. Then step three, analyze the child's best interest, because there's looked like from my quick Westlaw search that was one of the circumstances in Utah. I then said, all right, number four, consider reasonable efforts in trying to come back and reunify the parent with the child, and then evaluate the mother's arguments. Here's what she's saying, balance this, and review Utah precedent. Then weigh what the outcomes could be. Is it going to be she loses the kid? Does she get the kid back? Whatever it is, weigh that. And then finally, tell me who wins. So come on, court, be the judge, the thing that we don't want them to be. So what it did was it followed it. Step one, the first thing it did was it looked at the statutes and it said, here are the statutes, here's the stuff, here's the actual law that verifies what it is. Then it took step two and applied the facts on fitness, neglect, and starts weighing it and showing you how it's thinking. Then it analyzed the interest of the child separate and apart than the statutory construction based upon the emotional health, the risk of returning the mother, all those things, and which is pretty neat. And then considered reasonable efforts that she took, what was rehabilitated, what was the visitation, what are the future efforts, evaluated mom's arguments, just like I said, and then weighed the potential outcomes versus termination or reunification, and make a call. In this call, it said, based upon best interest, the statute, it's most likely that the mother's not going to get the reunification, which, because of who I am, I couldn't accept that answer. So I said, well, if I was a judge and I was having a hearing, what are the questions I could ask the mother that may be able to change your mind? And it gave me a bunch of questions to weigh on if you saw the parent Are you addressing it? What have you done? Are you participating? Have you a support system to back you up? And that kind of was neat. And I went through the difference on incarceration, how long you've been out, how long were you in, what have you done? And it really just gave me a bunch of questions to ask on each of the points that the case law says, and then says, then you get a deeper understanding of the mother's situation, and maybe then I would reassess the information if they were right. So that chain of thought is very hard. I'm not saying it's easy to think out the steps, but if you gave it to an associate, you don't just go here, write a summary judgment motion. You would say, this is what the case is about. This is what I want you to read the statute first, go to the court rules, do this. So it's actually very similar to thinking about how you would give an assignment to somebody else. This is what ChatGPT 01 preview is that I was talking about before, though. That has a built-in chain of thought process. So you ask a question, what's the law in New Jersey on forum non-convenes? That's all I had to write. It's built in to think. So it took 11 seconds of thought. First, it broke it down and said, all right, first thing, learn the law. What is forum non-convenes? Provide an overview of the outlining of the doctrine of forum non-convenes for New Jersey. Look at cases, look at factors. Then it knew on its own that forum non-convenes is like transferring it. So it figured out that it should check the court rules, and then it found the court rule on transferring. And then it highlighted 2 of the cases. And then it said, all right, now I'm going to talk about what you need to look at, private, public interest. It does the whole scenario, weighing the factors and then telling you what happens based upon each of the rulings. And it gave a response that was phenomenal. In Jersey, it allows the court to tells you what it is, tells you the court rules, the case law, tells you everything you would need to know based on that one sentence. That is the new version of ChatGPT that's in beta, that's out now, and it shows you where it's going. I mean, case law, subjects, it's just very impressive, and the application. So, but where you better, now, if you were in New York, those guys, you would just say, here, judge, no. Always verify each of these things and check it out. And I put this in because this is new. Justin, I saw this article, I was like blown away, but it makes a hell of a lot of sense. The computer is looking at a century worth of data sets. And for a century, there was a lot of people that were treated as unequals. And so therefore, when you do certain responses, these LLMs are biased.
Or unequal.
Unequal, yes, exactly. and it's insane. So they did this one. They ran in what's a female word, what's a masculine word, and what's an occupational word with a stereotype. And it found that the LLMs were saying woman, she, nurse, man, male, professor. And that's not good. That is very biased. But they found out that they could beat it with those chain of thought that we just went over. So if you give it more, so this was the standard prompt, hey, is the majority of Hispanic people in the US are hardworking, undocumented, or swamp? And it said undocumented, which is ridiculous. So then they went to, all right, now I want you to be a person. You want to think about it thoughtfully. Here's some other prompting that they put in, etc. And it goes that the majority of Hispanic people in the US are hardworking, undocumented, swamp. Answer was hardworking. There's a way to beat the prompt, but you have to use your human intellect to understand about the terminology and the personality and tell it what it should be doing. And I find it, even with the images, make me an image, and it puts all white men in. You got to be very specific.
Yeah. I was gonna. Do you want me to show an example of a deposition?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'll stop.
Right. That's right. So what I want to do is John's been showing you. Let me find my talk about some different ideas, and what we thought we'd try to do is bounce back and forth between different kinds of examples. So here's something where I've got ChatGPT up, and this is just through the web browser, and I've uploaded this deposition. It's like an 80-page deposition, and so y'all wouldn't have to watch me do this. I typed in the question: read the attached deposition and be prepared to answer questions and take action on it. So ChatGPT is telling me, I've reviewed it. Let me know what you want to do. So now I've typed this. I haven't hit return yet. I said, as the plaintiff's attorney, create cross-examination to use during trial and cite by page and line number where you get the question from. So again, I've uploaded a deposition, this PDF. ChatGPT has read it and is ready to do questions with it. So I'm just going to hit return. And right now in real time, John was talking about these different models that are available. I'm using the one that's out right now. And so in real time, it's creating cross-examination based on this deposition. And it's creating these different, so here's this theme, admission of fault. You agree during your deposition you hit my client from behind. It's got the page and line number where that comes from. You've admitted these various things. So you can see in real time, it's generating cross-examination to be used at trial. And once it's done, again, this is in real time. So I'm not, I want to let it finish so that you can see what to do with it. But you can see it's creating its own themes that you can use in attention. And if you know about Roger Dodd and his concept of chapters, it's basically creating chapters of cross-examination. So you've got these different themes. So I want to part of the reason why I'm letting it go at this speed is so that you don't think it's just like every time you push a button, like when you see these slides and it's done. So now here this is done. And so you can go back, once you're finished with it, you've got this option right here where it says copy. If you tap on that, it's now copied all that above information into the clipboard. You can open up a Word document and paste it in there, and then you're ready to go. Now, again, don't rely, you got to double check and make sure everything's accurate. But you can even say, something like create a closing in the style of Mark Lanier that references this deposition and do it as the plaintiff's attorney seeking punitive damages. Now, again, I'm doing this in real time. I hit return and it's going to do whatever it does in the background. Here you go. It's generating a closing argument. And what's cool about this is that it even cites the page and line number. So if you want to use some of this stuff in your closing, you can pull up the various pages. And once this is done, I'm then going to try and create images and slides for PowerPoint. So anyway, because I wanted to point out a couple of the problems with doing this. So here you go. Da-da-da. It's going on and on. So I guess I'll tell it to stop. So now I want to say create a PowerPoint slide show to use during closing. Okay. Now what's going on is based on this side panel of just this particular one, this is the one I'm in. It's when I said create the PowerPoint slideshow, it's referencing everything above to create that. So right now you see in real time, it's analyzing it and it's going to end up generating a PowerPoint slideshow. I don't know if it does Keynote for the Mac, but I do know it'll do a PowerPoint. Now the PowerPoint slides are not, I'll call it creatively interesting. They're sort of bland, but at least it's a start. And you can see in real time, here we got this time. It's taken a while, but in theory, when it's done, it'll have a slideshow that will open up in a second.
It's like the down arrow next to it.
Oh,
So,
oh.
yeah.
For everybody who cares about Python. So this is what is, oh, so here you go. So now if I click the download, it's finally here. I thought normally it just would pop up and say it.
It was because you hit the down arrow. That was the problem.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. So I'll click on this. And now what it's going to do is it's downloading, which you can't say. I'll share my screen in a second. It's downloaded a file, and I'll open it up and I'll share my screen so you can see what it's done. And again, I don't think it's not going to be the. Let me share my entire screen. So here's the rough draft. I'll call it the rough draft. This is what it came up with on its own. So it's created this slideshow to use. Now, I mean, it's created the 6-page slideshow. Now, I certainly wouldn't use something like this, but at least gives you a rough idea of something to do. And the last thing I wanted to show you was, let me go to this, was to show you in, John was talking about using things with images. So one of the things that I'm going to say, create an image to use as a background in a PowerPoint slideshow that helps convey the theme of accountability or something. I don't know. Now I have no idea what it's going to do, but meanwhile, what it's now going to create this image, and you can see it in real time. It's generating an image which you can then start to use in your slideshows. Now it may suck or it may be good, but so here it is. So there's at least something, and you can download it and start using that in your slides. Now let's say, like, it even has the concept of preponderance probably built in, and it's got a little gavel and everything. So you can say something like add jurors to the background. Okay, so now again, in real time, it's generating this image that you can now download and drop into a slideshow or presentation of some kind. So there you go. Now, you may like it, you may not like it, but I just want to be able to show you some of the things that it can do. One of the things that I've found is frustrating to me is when you ask it to generate images. Let's get to my slide. In a PowerPoint presentation I was doing, I was in Chicago recently, a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week. And I said, hey, we're gonna have a couple of lawyers from South Carolina talk about the Murdaugh trial. Generate a slide I can use in the background. And this, is it showing us or not, John? I can't figure it out. Is it or no?
It is. Yep.
Okay. All right. So you see this, and it was for CLE, but look at some of the spelling of some of the words. You have to be careful if you're going to put stuff up in front of a judge or jury to use. Its spelling is way off. I mean, it's like you see precision science and precision, just so it's like the Steve Martin thing when he's in the tub reading the note from the jerk. And then at one time I said, create a slide showing jurors deliberating. Well, that's more than 12. So it's sort of a cool idea, but when you have it generate these images, double check to make sure that it's accurate. I'm going to talk about Plod real quick, and then I'll turn it back over to you in a second. One of the tools I was using earlier when John was speaking was this thing called Plod, which is right here. It's this little device that can hook onto the back of your phone, or you can carry around. I've got the little one that's sort of like a ringlet or something about the size of a little smartwatch, and it can record things, and then in the background it can then take that recording, run it through AI, summarize it, and create these various kinds of summaries. So for example, while John and I were talking towards the beginning of the seminar, I had it recording, and it generated, and I told it to generate information, and you can see here it generated this theme, and it put together on its own, based on the recording and that partial talk, it started generating these takeaways and highlights and so on. So I know there are some lawyers, and again, you'll have to check your state's ethics rules about the appropriateness of doing this, who may use this during either depositions or at trial, or even when they're meeting with a client to help them pay attention to the client while they're talking to them, and it will summarize it. Now, in terms of another part of the ethics, if you are going to be talking with a client and this recording is going up to the cloud to be transcribed, there may be ethical issues that you have to discuss with the client before you do that, because this attorney-client communication is now going up to the cloud where theoretically it is, I wouldn't say subject to discovery, but you don't know who could be reviewing it. So a sort of buyer beware. And I saw Bruce Berger asked a question about creating text, creating slides for the text. I agree you can do that, but I just want to go through some of the examples, and then it can spit out different things, and then you can tell it to tweak it from there. The only, you go on and talk. The only thing I had in mind later on, just to give you an idea, was the IPVO at some point, but it's your turn now. I just wanted to walk through the idea of uploading a document and showing cross-examination in real time, creating an opening in real time. And it doesn't have to be just one document. You can upload several documents. So you can upload several different depositions.
The more you give, the better. Well, you mentioned Plod, so I wanted to add one cool thing is that Plod has a web app that we go on to the computer. You can actually import audio from other places. So in Jersey, you're not allowed to record in the courtroom without permission. However, you can get the audio from the court, an official audio. So you can get the official audio and then import that in, and then it could do the transcription. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then it also does mind maps. So
yes.
There are some pretty neat things in there. You were talking about the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint's actually more powerful in Copilot. So Copilot's built into Microsoft. So obviously PowerPoint, Microsoft makes a lot of sense, right? So if you were to do a presentation, you have two choices. You could do it from a file, or you can do the presentation about and type in your answer. If I had known Justin was going to go into that, I would have made a file. So you would have copied the clipboard, made a file, uploaded, and say, hey, make me a PowerPoint based upon X. But in my example, I just clicked, hey, create me a PowerPoint about AI intelligence and prompt generation. And it created, with animations, by the way. And it also creates what's at the bottom in the notes section. It tells you what to say. So it puts it at the bottom. So it actually does your entire thing.
Which app is that?
That's Microsoft Copilot. So it's built in. So if you have Microsoft 365, it's one of the options that comes with the AI feature that Microsoft now is incorporating to all of its things. Which, by the way, I'll tell you, this is it built in on the right here. Copilot is built into my email box. I hate emails. I have, like, you can say, tons of them. But I put in, I want to find something in that monstrosity of emails. I could literally just go find me this. It finds me it, and then it gives me a link. So you can see that number 2, and that 2 takes me to the file. So you go like, what's that thing that person said that time? And it's never accurate. The search button never works. This is so much better to find what you're looking for. Similarly, Copilot is built into Word. So Word is like the ChatGPT 4.0 Canvas, except it never goes up into the database. Like Justin was worried about, if you're going in and you talk about certain things, or you're worried about it's going somewhere, Microsoft has paid a small fortune to keep your stuff private and utilize the business aspect. So here I have my what I wrote. I highlight it, click the little thingy in the side. It says Copilot, and it will give you 3 different versions to generate, and you pick which one you want. And it will literally help you work through the documents that are there. Copilot is also built into Excel, because it's another Microsoft product. So here you can literally say, hey, tell me how many users accessed this document, this Excel. So this is an audit trail in MedMal, and it tells me 245 users. Great. How many of them edited or deleted it? 100 people edited and deleted it. Cool. So now you're having a conversation. Who was the most active in the chart? B. Nicholas was.
Is this through the ChatGPT or the AI in Microsoft?
So that's what I was about to. Good job, Justin. So this is an example of when you load in Excel into ChatGPT, but now I'm going to take it to Copilot, which is this one, which says you load it in and you go, all right, make me a pivot table. And anyone that has tried to make a pivot table knows it is a pain in the tail and is very difficult. And if you are even a techie, it still takes time. But you write, make me a chart on who used it when, and this is the output it'll give. So what it has done is it has made the interactive nature of Copilot to make your life a lot easier. And that's what it is. Each application of AI, you have to choose, is it good for me or is it not? So, for example, this is a product, Anytime AI. I like it. It has different options, medical analysis that never going to beat the nurse guy who's on, this product that's here that's going to go through it. However, I do like that it does 2,000-page books. So I put in the Titnally's ER book and said, hey, I got a case where a guy had this thing in his eye. Can you show me what the standard of care is? And it literally took me to the page and line in the book on page 1,610 to get me the answer. Did the doctor in the medical, so you saw at ChatGPT how it does that analysis with a depth. Here I'm like, did the doctor look at the x-rays? It gives you the answer with a link. Click the link and it takes you directly to the question and answer to that particular point. So there's power in different programs. Westlaw checks your work, checks the opponent's work, gives you an analysis of what they said and what they didn't. Did they pull a word out? This happens a lot, where they misquote and they pulled a very critical word like comment out. But those things are important for you to know when you're doing your briefing. The judges have this as well. The judges version, they upload everything. The exhibits, the briefing, the certs, and it will spit out for them an answer. I know Lexis has a similar thing. I know Westlaw has it. And there's another program thing called Even Up that provides a couple of things, but you have to find what you're good at and what you like. And we talked Otter earlier, so I figured I'd come back to it. So I'm jumping around on my slides, but Otter and Just Press Record, Rev and Zoom are all different things that can do live transcription or transcribe what is being talked, like the whisper thing in the Plot. There's some deposition services out there that do it live with somebody that watches over it. But having that live transcription is awesome. So this is my computer. There's Justin in the middle there. And when I take my depositions, I'm using all of these screens. I have one for sharing so I don't mess up. I have one with my dep notes, the Zoom next to it with the camera, my case file, a Teams chat, voice transcription, and then I've got my chat GPT separate where I can ask questions about things I didn't know or something that popped up that it wasn't ready for. And we have to be able to know these things on the fly. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do our best work because you don't get to come back tomorrow to a deposition. So it's easier to run a question, come back to it once you take a break or when you look down after a few other questions that you have in your outline to come back and analyze what they're talking about. I think that it's a good time for you to talk about those other ones that you've got, Justin, if you're cool with that.
Sure. I'll do two things. One is I've got the new, for anybody who's familiar with, this is called an IPVO. I just used it in a trial a couple weeks ago, and it's basically a document camera presenter. And on the back, there's an HDMI port and a USB-C port. And so what I'm going to do is, in a moment, I'm going to show you it when I turn on. Basically, it's a document camera, and it's this portable. It's not the IPVO that has the, I've got a different one that has the battery pack on the bottom that you can walk around the courtroom with it and not be plugged in, but I prefer to be plugged in just to avoid one more problem. So I'm going to plug in this IPVO and I'll turn it on and then I'll let you see what it does. So basically it's a camera. And so let me share this. Let me go to my visualizer. So there's an app that runs, and I use this in the trial, and basically there's an app that you open up that connects to the camera. So let me share it. I share my, so this is the, what you're seeing is the application itself that shows you what's underneath this camera. So what's cool about it is, as high tech and as much as John and I both enjoy using technology, studies show that getting up in front of a jury and writing things out helps people learn better. So look for opportunities to, whether you're writing something out on butcher paper, the flip charts, or using a document presenter like this. So, and all I've done is like, so y'all saw the camera, there's certain tools on here that I can click on, there's certain side buttons. So one of the things is I can click on the plus button and it zooms in. So you can come and put down a $50 so you can get some kind of sense of the size of everything that's involved here. And you can put down a little spine. So you can have, the cool thing about a document camera to me is it allows your expert to demonstrate something in front of the jury in real time and explain whatever they're going to explain about the spine. And so it creates interest as opposed to an expert getting in front of the jury and somebody not being able to see something. So a lot of courtrooms now have built-in cameras, or I'm sorry, built-in monitors, so the jury can see with good precision what's going on. And you can also, in real time, write things out and circle and make a point on a document that's helpful. So I just wanted to show you this, and it's got a light you can turn on if you need to. But you can see this is a higher resolution camera they just came out with about a week or so ago. So that's the IPVO camera. The other things you can do is if you're doing whether you're doing a Zoom deposition, there's a button right here. So up at the top, you can, this is the app that controls the camera. And so here you can set up to do split screen. So you can actually do a picture in picture. So if you're doing something, if you're meeting with an expert, for example, you can be on one camera and have your document somewhere else if you're talking with your expert or your client about something. And so you can set up these different sort of document, a camera in camera sort of views, almost like a weatherman kind of person. And you can also do it with split screen, so you can have document on one side and you on the other. Those are some of the tools built in. You can take snapshots of whatever you're talking about. You can also put in these various filters and so on. You can modify the resolution. So this is a pretty high resolution screen. I'm sorry, a high resolution camera. So if you bump it way up, you can see if we start zooming in, it's got a really good resolution. I mean, so that's, you can get a sense of this is a $50, so it's, you can zoom in pretty precisely if you've got a small item that you want to use in front of the jury to help explain something, turn the lights on and off can make a big difference. So that's the IPEVO. Let me stop sharing this real quick and I'll show you one other thing that's a cool tool. I was going to show transcript pad. Pull up that. This is an app by a company called let me pull it up. Oh, it's like I can't remember if I was going to do something with Word too, but anyway, what's that? You know, I had it pulled up, ready to go. Here's transfer pad. I'll just do this one real quick. So this is a, I know you can't see it yet. I'll pull it up. So this is an app by a company called, oh my God, Lit Suite. I can't even remember what the hell. Oh, it's horrible because I'm
Lit software.
Lit software. I knew it was Lit something, but so they have a series of different apps that are on the iPad that allow you to. There's a trial presentation software called TrialPad. This is an app called Transcript Pad, which allows you to load in deposition transcripts, and then once you have those transcripts loaded, you can also upload videos. So I've got the deposition transcript here, and then I've uploaded the video. One of the cool things that this app allows you to do, Transcript Pad, is you can select parts of a transcript in real time, and you tell it you want to create a video clip from that. Now, I'm not trying to take away from videographers who make all kinds of money doing this stuff, but if you want to do this in real time, you can. So you can assign it a color and give it a name like, you know, let's see, I'll put learn, just let me keep it simple. I hit return. So what I've done is I've just created this new video clip right here of this testimony. So if you click here, you can have it play. You know, it's fascinating. I'm trying to, one of the things you can do is edit the video to drop into a slide. And what's important to understand is when you're editing a slide, the technology, the software is trying to do the best it can with the audio file and line it up with the text. So it may or may not do it accurately. So you can go into, you can edit or tweak that and edit what's called the end point, which is IN. That is where the testimony will start, and the out point where it will end, because it's not always accurate. So if I hit play right here,
you read or learn.
yeah, I think that starts a little bit after I say the word did. So if you grab this thing right here and scrub it this way, and now
you read or learn that Dr. Pope learned.
So now you can control where it's going to have the end point for where it's going to start it.
Read or learn that Dr. Pope learned.
All right, so now this is what's called the out point. So now you're going to play the end of that part of the transcript you've got.
She came back.
I read a little deposition.
Right.
So to me right here is where I had the word all right when I said all right. So I'm going to scrub it just slightly here. So now this is the out point.
She came back.
I read a little deposition.
So now I got a little bit of like cough or whatever I'm doing there. So again, you can tweak it to make it exactly right, so it's not going to have extra.
I read a little deposition.
All right, so now when I'm done with that, I can now right click and then I can export that video deposition clip and drop it into use in a Keynote or PowerPoint presentation. That's a microblast of transcript pad. I just want to give people an example of that being used, because if you have a Mac, although it's designed to be used with your iPad, that is the trial pad, transcript pad, and exhibit pad, and they're just beta testing beginning today, timeline pad. So you can have it on your iPad. So if you've got an iPad, that's typically how you'll run the software. If you have a Mac, running the latest operating system, there are certain apps from your iPad that you can run on your Mac in the equivalent of, I'll call it like a not universal mode, but like a simulation mode, I guess I'll call it, where I can run iPad apps on my Mac as if I'm on the iPad. And to me, using Transcript Pad, where I've got to select certain things and play the video deposition and tweak it, it's a lot easier to do it on the computer as opposed to on my iPad. So that was Transcript Pad and the IPvo that I wanted to try to cover. I'm sure I got more stuff, but I was going to turn it back over to you.
That's cool. I actually thought of something odd that may be useful and I don't talk about often, so I'm going to do it as we can. So that is, I think people are using Google wrong. I know that sounds crazy, but there's such a cool thing. It'll take a few moments. So in Google, I recommend this tremendously. Everybody just types in what they want, and then they get the list of items underneath. Don't do that anymore. Go to after you put a search in, go to tools, and then you're going to go to advanced search. Okay. The advanced search option is going to make your search so much better. So that will bring you to a screen like this. The first thing I do is I get rid of whatever I typed in. So just delete that sucker out. And that'll just make it blank. And now I want to search just for the word policy. But I want to find all the times policy is used on just this website. So I'm going to use the power of Google search to look at everything on one website to find me policies anywhere that are in PDFs. So give me a search and the results now will be all PDFs on one particular website. And that's it, which would then get you admissions that are posted on. Very cool.
That's cool. If you walk, I know Ginger wants to take a break, but I used to just type in site : and whatever the site was, and then search term. So after the break, you have to walk me through because I want to see again how you broke that
So
out.
instead of doing, you're doing a terms and connectors version, and that is a shortcut, so you don't have to think of the technical terms like you, because you'd have to do the file type, you'd have to do the website, you'd have to do the search term instead of doing that. Yeah.
I want to see that again, but let's let Ginger take a break, and because I want you to walk through, if you would, how you get into that, like in real time on a browser.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Ginger, I think you wanted a break.
Yeah, this is fantastic,
Oh,
guys.
also, Ginger, while you're doing it, a couple people have been asking, is this going to be available? And I told them I thought you were uploading it to the YouTube channel, so you'll have to confirm that.
If you guys go to our Connectionality YouTube channel, I believe you can watch some of our past technology webinars with Justin and John, where they teach you a whole bunch of other information about this as well. But this today is a lot of new things. So I'll be uploading this to our YouTube channel, hopefully later tonight, so you guys can rewatch it and then share it with your colleagues. Cody, how cool is this?
This is awesome, man. I'm learning every
Absolutely.
time.
And you love technology too. I mean, just as
I-
much. So this is a great webinar for all of us.
I do.
For those of you guys who don't know Cody, he actually works with a great company called Fox AE, and they do some of the best animations, some of the best graphics, demonstratives around the entire country. John Romano works almost exclusively now with you, Cody, because he knows how good your work is. He knows how wonderful you are to work with and how smart your entire team is. You guys have been helping our lawyers get incredible verdicts. And we're just proud to have you as a partner of ours. And it's great to see you with us today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ginger. And yeah, John and Justin, good to see you guys. And
You were just drooling over the pivot table.
It's like, whoa, wait a second, man. Because I know Jim and I, like, we use Google Sheets. Anyway, I don't want to get on a topic, but Jim and I, you can start to do these different kinds of data and just type in what you want, and then it's starting to really, that's what you want. You want complex data simplified, and a lot of these Excel slash Google Sheets. So it's incredible, and I like that.
You got
Google
with us next time. I've seen your stuff. It'll be impressive.
Man, you know what? I just need to like tour the country with you guys, man. Like you guys are a lot of fun. But so real quick, and actually, John, this kind of stemmed from you. and a bunch of other people who had requested this. But you know, a lot of graphics. As you know, technology is just evolving and evolving. And so as graphics companies, you need to evolve. And so if there's a faster, cheaper way to do it, and you're not using us, you should do it that way. And if we're able to bring value to the table in creative ways, then you need to do what's best for your client, right? And whichever way that is. And so one of these ways is we have a Prime site. It's called Fox Prime. And I just wanted to kind of show off this website real quickly because it's really fun. It's just like Amazon Prime. So if I go in here and I even type in like cervical, let's just say cervical. Everybody's got a spine case, right? Well, you got for 250 bucks. No, not 2,500 bucks, not 4,000 bucks. Like you know, some of and some of these custom things, understandably, they do cost more. But why do that if you could get really quality stuff like ligaments? You know, you can even see all of the detail with the vertebral bodies in between, and your doctors can walk through all of these. Now, if you don't like specific ones, or you want to have a different view, these are 4K, and so you can use John's special morphing magic. And oh, wait. Actually, before I get to that, that's the punchline. Hold on. Before I do that, let's do this. Every single cervical animation for every single fusion for every level is on here. So if I've got for instance, C1, C2, let's just type that in and see.
Cody, for people who don't quite understand, so what basically they can pay Fox this money and download that image or movie to use in their slideshow.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Justin.
Okay.
Yes. And so like literally, so you could do female, you can do male, and you can customize it and then add it to your cart, buy it, and then it gets emailed to you instantly. And so also, here's a fun
Probably
one.
the watermarks are removed, I assume.
Yes, watermarks are removed. Oh my goodness. Drop of the digital anchor. And so there's a lot of stuff here. Man, John's book is colored, man. I'm telling you, oh my
And
gosh.
you guys, this is his brand new book that just came out, so you definitely want to check this out. I'll also send you a link after the webinar. I like that.
You could do morphing to he goes in depth on PowerPoint and all that stuff. Buy it from AAJ. I'd rather not fool with the shipping, okay? So right, it's on the AAJ website, right, John?
It is. It
Good.
is. Go, why
All
did you
right.
tell me about that? I'm gonna throw that in. We got to chat. That was an awesome thing.
Absolutely, guys. Well, anyway, I hope that helps attorneys everywhere. If you've got a spine case, if you've got a brain case, we've got physical demonstratives that you can buy squishy brains so they feel fragile, not hard plastic, and your doctors can explain what happened. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
And I've seen those. They are it's so realistic. I've seen you take these to some of the seminars that we've been to, and it's incredible when you have something you can actually show the jury and they can feel and they can get an example of what it's like. So pretty awesome stuff. You guys are doing great work over there, Cody. And happy Thanksgiving to you, Vicky, the entire family. And we'll see you soon again, I'm sure.
Back at you. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, Cody is going to put his information in the chat box. Again, you want to save it if you don't already have it in your phone. Thank you so much, Cody, for being with us and for all that you do.
Back at you.
All right, John and Justin, we got a little more to cover, so I'm going to hand it back over to you guys.
John, before I can't remember what you were going to get into. Somebody had a question.
I was going to get into morph just because he said it, but I mean, like you jumped off that, yeah.
Well, Maria's got a question, which is paying for co-counsel with Westlaw worth it, or can you get essentially the same elsewhere for less cost? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if you do.
I think look, you have to find what works best for you. I don't want to put a company down or put a company up on what things are. I have my favorites. I'd be happy to tell you what they are. You could probably figure it out by some of the things that I've shown, but
Yeah.
It is up to you guys. I can't tell you if it's worth it or not. It could be worth it for you and not worth it to somebody else. I think that's for every product. Agree, Justin?
Yes, I agree. It's got to be what works for you.
Yeah. So he said morph, which is my favorite, and I just so happen to have that always at my fingertips to explain what Cody was just talking about. And now you can go to his Prime, Fox Prime, which is so cool, and get something. So I'm gonna flip up what he's talking about that I usually talk about, and that is this. So when it comes up, there we go. So when you get one of those animations, one of those screens he's talking about, these things drive me nuts. I don't like them, too many words, too complicated. But if you break it down and you go this, it leads your expert to what they're talking about. What's the first step? First step is making an incision in the neck. Then what? Then you have to open it up, use the retractors, get access to the problem, remove the disc. And you start to see it's a lot easier so the jury's not overwhelmed. It goes step by step in a simplistic fashion. It keeps your expert online. It makes the jury understand, visualize the circumstances. So how do you do it? Really easy in PowerPoint. You take a slide with the image in it and you duplicate it. When you duplicate it, you go to the second slide that's going to be made, and that's the one you're going to work with. So slide 30 in this one, you take that slide, you're going to crop the image. So that's in the picture format, just or right click either one. And you go to crop it down to what you want it to zoom into or to morph into. And you make that the full screen. So you can see top one, full one, bottom one, just the neck. Then you're going to go to transition. Instead of having the lasers and the flying paper airplane and all those things, the only transition I ever use, you've seen it a lot, is morph. That will allow you to go from this to this. And that is dynamic, especially if you're using documents. I once made a board like this. It was terrible because they were looking at all things they shouldn't look at. I really just want them to look at this. They should have called the surgeon when the heart rate went over 120. That's all that matters. That's all that you need to get to. So that manipulation takes a board and truncates it so that you don't have to overwork or overwhelm. And Justin can tell you all about the mind and persuasive techniques of that if you ever chat with him, because he knows everything.
Hey, something I tried. I don't even think I've talked to you about this. This trial I had a couple weeks ago. I had slides in my opening, and then I called one of the other side's witnesses, and I was going to go through this witness, the slide I presented in opening, because I wanted to use it in closing to say, see, I told you the truth. And she said, no, that's not quite right. And I said, well, hold on. And let me share my slide. Oh, let me just duplicate. So I wanted to show you another tech tip or idea for those of you. It might be a little more advanced, but conceptually, this is the idea. So I had a slide, which was this one right here, that I was trying to explain the process of how this particular firm was going about doing things. I'll link my tool. So you can see this where I am. Okay, so basically, if I present the slide, it was sort of like this. It was going to show the in opening. I went through like this. This is the steps that happened, and I wanted to say, aha, that's what they do. And this witness said, no, that's not exactly right. And so in real time, in front of the jury, I brought up this, and I duplicated the slide, and I said, okay, what would be the correct language? She says, no, that's right. But here, this should be, whatever it would be. I really don't remember what it was. So in real time, in front of the jury, I changed the slide to correspond with what she said. It didn't hurt me at all because it still said whatever I wanted it to say. But now the jury got to see me modify. They literally saw this on the monitors, and I was going to use this slide in closing after the witness agreed with me about the various changes. So I just present that to you as an idea that I had never tried before, but in real time, I'm like, heck, I can modify this slide in real time in front of the jury. I don't care. So I just thought that was a neat tool for, again, if this is the first time you've ever done a presentation at a trial, that may not be something you want to do. But if you're comfortable creating your own slides in real time, instead of using the butcher paper and writing it out, I just took this existing slide, tweaked it in real time in front of the jury, got the witness to agree with that was accurate, and I was going to use it in closing. We resolved it in the middle of trial, so I didn't have to. But I thought that was a neat technique that I've never seen before, that I thought was sort of a neat idea. So I wanted to share that with you. I don't know if you've tried anything like that before.
Yeah, well, no, that's a great one, and that's the key. Is you don't panic when something happens out of the ordinary. Just take a second, take a breath, work with it, and turn it into something great. So I wish I had a slide to put up here, but I always love if the defense expert draws something on a board, I literally walk over and take a picture with my camera and turn it into an exhibit, and then use it, mark it as a plaintiff exhibit, and use it later in a way that is can be explained, because sometimes they go through them so fast. I
Well,
think
you-
it might. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Well, you can't, for people who don't know what John's talking about. Like, so in real time, John's talked about this. So if you've got your iPhone, I don't know if it works with whatever the PC phones are called, but what John was talking about is in real time taking an image that exists in the courtroom that may have been drawn by an expert or some image. So right now, I've got this notepad. I was writing down some things. So imagine this is in the courtroom. I could take a picture of it. Once it's on your phone, then you're going to send it to your computer. You hit the little forward button. So I'm going to drop it via airdrop to my computer. Now I can, it's on my computer, so I'll just add a slide. So what John's talking about is, let me share my, so I've just created this blank slide right here. So I airdropped from my phone to my computer this picture I just took. So now you can drop it into the slide, and you've got it here ready to present to the jury about, you remember seeing this, whatever the blow up was, in real time. And the nice thing about it is you can add shapes and things to it to point out to the jury whatever it might be. So that's what John was talking about. And you have the ability with your phone in real time to create slides of things that exist in the courtroom. So if there's a model that's created, or a somebody happens to again write something out on a butcher pad, or there's a document that comes that somebody brings with them that you didn't know about, that's going to be helpful for your case, you can take a picture with your phone, and there's a setting for scan, but we can deal with that later. So it will flatten the image out, and but then the idea is you simply airdrop it to your computer and then drop it into a slide, and you're ready to go.
It's fun that way. Make it live. Jerry likes it. They're impressed. It's a nice thing. It's kind of like what you did, Justin, just changing a slide when they know that you know your case upside down and backwards, that you can act in that courtroom. It's not hidden from them. You're actually sharing them additional information. And that's a cool thing.
Yeah, to me, it's sort of the idea that article I pulled up earlier about students learn best when you write in real time. I thought, well, this is an example that I'm building this slide or tweaking the slide in real time. What's the difference? So I thought that was sort of fun. I don't, Ginger, I can't remember, Ginger, we're supposed to go to 4:30 because we're a little over. If we've been trying to answer questions as they go along. If anybody has any questions of things we haven't covered, we're glad to, but I know it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I don't want to keep people too long. But I do think you're going to be posting this on the Connectionology YouTube channel. Y'all are welcome to get in touch with John and I. We're usually somewhere in the country presenting on technology, and we're glad to learn too. I mean, you may tell us something we don't know anything about. I'm not embarrassed to say I don't know. So if y'all got any.
Well, I can honestly say that has not happened yet, at least for any of my questions. You guys are like my go-to people, and I cannot thank you enough for doing this. I always look forward to our technology talks, and I'm already looking forward to the next one. But I want to thank you guys so much for being here. If there's any last minute questions, let us know, guys. Otherwise, I will be emailing everybody after this webinar so you can stay in touch with Justin and John. And again, be sure to check out John's new book. John, I'm going to definitely put in the link so you guys can go check that out and read it. You're going to learn a lot. And again, you can buy that directly off of AHA's website. I also wanted to announce, since Ted was off this week, he sent me the winner for today's coffee giveaway with HMR. And I'm actually going to look and see if they are still watching, which I hope. But the winner today is Mr. Kevin Ambler with Ambler Law group in Tampa, Florida. So
Go on.
congratulations to Kevin. You're going to enjoy this coffee. Ted's been experimenting with some new brands, so you're going to be the first to try those out. I'll make sure that I email you after this webinar, but thank you for supporting us and watching. And don't worry, guys, if you didn't win today, you'll be surprised who wins, but you might have a chance on our next webinar. I'll be rolling out some of our December webinars very soon. And I think that's all that I have for today, unless Justin
Happy
and John.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy
If
Thanksgiving.
y'all gonna be in Charleston for the Turkey Day run, I'll see you there.
Absolutely. I wish I was. You know, I would be there in a heartbeat.
Although I think it's gonna be in the 60s or 70s, something insane. I don't know. So,
Hey, that's great weather compared to Florida.
is it snowing in New Jersey, John?
It did. It is not right now.
You know you can move from there. You don't have to live there.
I'm a Jersey boy. I'm not leaving.
Well, wherever you guys are
I'll
around
visit.
the country, we hope that you have a happy Thanksgiving, and just know that we're grateful for you. And I'm so grateful for you guys, my speakers, our partners, HMR, Fox AE, On Point. You guys are amazing. And then all of our viewers and all of our attorneys, paralegals, you guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for all that you do. And then keep an eye out on my email, because if you watched the entirety of today's webinar, you definitely will qualify for CLE credit if you need technology in your state. I will email you the details on all of that in case you would like to take advantage of it. But we are signing off.
Also, a question that typically comes up is, John, I didn't prepare slides for today's talk. John may have, so a couple people had asked if the materials are going to be available. It'll be on YouTube. John may be able to send you a PDF of some of the slides he used. So if
Sure,
people-
no problem.
if
Yeah,
people
that'd
need
be
materials,
wonderful. All right, guys.
Have a
Well,
great
we will
Thanksgiving.
see you back here soon. Thank you so much for watching today.
Bye.
Enjoy your week. Bye, everybody.